shocking ruling in pregnant teen's murder case. Oh shit! I gotta turn this on.
Sister or his son, ever since he found out Mia was pregnant, he didn't want responsibility and wanted her to abort from the start. He was never around. We always had to tell him to do something. I guess that's just the life of a deadbeat.
It's hard to imagine what Mia Campos' family is going through as they come face to face with her alleged killer.
Every morning I went to her room to say, "Good morning, my beautiful daughter." Now I go to the cemetery to tell her that I miss her.
Mia's body was found in the woods last summer after her family made the devastating discovery. Now they're back in court as her alleged killer hopes to get out on bond despite objections from both Mia's family and the state.
The state's position is that the defendant is a flight risk, a danger to the community, and likely to commit additional felonies, and a risk to intimidate witnesses if he's released.
I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. Mia was 7 months pregnant when she was killed. Her ex-boyfriend, Jesus Monroy, is charged with her murder.
Rest in peace.
Now, he was previously released on bond, then more charges were tacked on. He was rearrested, but now he's hoping a judge will release him on bond once again.
The state also believes that he is a danger to the community. He molested a 15-year-old girl, got her pregnant, and we heard from all three witnesses, Mr. Alexis Campos, Edward Campos, and Miriam Zarata, the mother, that from the moment that Mia found out she was pregnant, he took steps for her to try to abort that baby. From buying her the Plan B pill, which she did not take, telling her to get an abortion, and telling the family he wanted an abortion, that he was not going to take care of it.
You cannot force somebody.
They present evidence to the court and say it's my
abort,
client, and it's not.
Plan B,
It's not my
you
client. He's
cannot
not
do
running
it.
around. His cousin testified to that. There's no evidence of risk of flight. Zero. In fact, there's an abundance of evidence to the exact opposite of that. He is a guaranteed person to stay and submit to the court's order. Danger to the community. They presented no evidence of that other than the allegations merely contained in the indictment.
It was a packed Georgia courtroom last week when Mia
That's why I
Campos'
couldn't be
alleged
no
killer,
lawyer, bro.
Jesus Monroy, appeared in
I
court.
felt like
Mia was
somebody
just
did it,
16
or
years old when she
the
died. Her
lawyers, they be
ex-boyfriend Jesus
sleeping
was
on.
20 at the time and was
I
the
felt
father
like,
of
or
her
I knew
unborn
somebody
child. If you've been
did
following
it.
the case, you know
no way I'm
initially he
defending
wasn't
him.
charged with murder, just providing false statements. But those charges were upgraded. So now he's facing malice murder, felony murder, feticide, and aggravated assault. But then more charges came. In between him being charged with murder and aggravated assault, Jesus was granted bond. It was a surprisingly low bond given the charges, only $50,000. So he was out of jail with an ankle monitor. That is until February, when a grand jury indicted him on new charges like statutory rape, child molestation, and enticing a child for indecent purposes.
How old
And
is
those
this
charges
nigga?
came on top of the murder charges. So he's back in custody. He was out of jail about 6 months before being taken back to jail. At his latest court hearing, though, the state urged the judge not to let him out, sharing new details about the months leading up to Mia's murder.
Your Honor, this defendant molested a teenage girl, got her pregnant, and then killed her and her unborn baby. The defendant committed multiple unlawful sex acts on Mia Campos when she was 15 and 16 years old. On December 16th of 2023, the defendant picked up Mia and took her to a secluded location off Classic Drive in Snellville in Gwinnett County. He parked his truck. He then proceeded to have vaginal sex with Mia in his truck. At this time, she was only 15 years old and he was 19. This was one of several child molestations that he committed on Mia. In 2024, Mia found out she was pregnant. At that point, the defendant encouraged her to get an abortion. Later, it was learned that the defendant also bought Mia the Plan B pill to end her pregnancy and made numerous attempts to get her to abort the baby. A conversation was had between Mia's
This lady is
parents,
typing, not even
the
looking.
defendant, and the defendant's
Yeah, I
parents.
don't know, bro.
And at that point,
I don't
Mia's
know how people
parents
do that shit either.
agreed not to report the child molestation to law enforcement if the defendant agreed to continue to help support the baby as well as support Mia by taking her to doctor's appointments and other things needed for her
She
pregnancy.
typing, but she not looking at shit. I don't see how people do that.
However, that did not happen. On July 14th of 2024, about 10:30 p.m., the defendant lured Mia out of her Loganville home, where she lived with her parents and her older brother. The defendant told Mia he would take her to Quick Trip. She'd like to go there to get ice and snacks. And she was 7 months pregnant at that point. Mia texted a friend that the defendant was making her walk to the entrance of her neighborhood when he came to pick her up, rather than come all the way to her home to the driveway to get her. Again, it's 10:30 at night. She's a teenage girl and 7 months pregnant, but he still made her walk to the front of the neighborhood. Mia texted her friend that she was scared. This was the last communication that Mia had with anyone.
The prosecutor explained Mia never made it to Quick Trip. The medical examiner ruled whoever killed Mia applied pressure to her neck and killed her by asphyxiation.
He ruled that her death was a
He don't
homicide.
even look like.
The autopsy found also that the baby was healthy and a viable fetus. Further investigation shows video footage shows the defendant did leave his home to pick Mia up. When Mia did not return home that evening, which was shortly after she left to go to the Quick Trip, her family and friends started calling her and texting her, and it was unusual for Mia to not respond. That's when the family became worried. Mia's brother and her friend were able to locate her cell phone using the Life 360, an application that tracked her location. That app showed that Mia's phone was in the wood line near Stevens Road in Loganville, which was not that far from her home. Mia's family then contacted the defendant's family. In this regard, both families then went to look for them. Mia was found dead in the woods shortly
What his
later.
family got to say?
Her eyes and her face showed petechial hemorrhaging, which was a sign of strangulation and asphyxiation, and she was bleeding out of her nose. When police arrived, the defendant, Mr. Monroy, did not want Mia's family to tell police that he was the baby's father. The defendant also told Mia's family that he never saw Mia, despite him actually coming and picking her up hours earlier.
After Mia's body was discovered, the state argues Jesus deleted texts he had with
Something
Mia
wrong
that
with
day
people,
and
bro.
even instructed Mia to delete her text and delete the deleted text from her trash folder. However, the phone records are pretty crucial. Jesus' phone pinged in the woods where Mia's body was found, even though he told
Bro, this nigga planned this shit. He had her walk from her house to the front of the neighborhood because he didn't want none of the neighbors to see. Told her to delete it. Try to fully wipe her messages. Like,
police he was never there.
And DNA test that we got back today from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation that I'm handing a copy to Mr. Delpont show that the defendant is the father of Mia's unborn baby.
So again, this is a bond hearing. The state argues Jesus is a flight risk, and the testimony coming from detectives sheds more light into Jesus' behavior when they were investigating Mia's murder.
We approached the front gate. A gentleman in a green shirt came driving at a high rate of speed on the wrong lane of traffic, shouting warrant. We advised that we had a warrant and to open the gate for us.
Do you know who that gentleman was?
I believe it was the brother of the suspect.
Okay. Was the gate opened?
Not immediately. He made a phone call. While he made that phone call, the drone operator that we have above the structure advised us that the suspect had ran out of the main building.
he told this
and
nigga
into
to
a
get
different
gone.
building in the residence. Suspect's now running through the barn, which is his first
Damn. I didn't even know police was doing shit like this.
For a few seconds.
This nigga's bolting, bro.
Where we located him. Way to stay close.
But that cam's out the way on me. That bitch far as hell. You could tell by how pixelated it is.
And Detective, do you know what was in that barn? barn if he put anything in there?
I didn't go and check.
But you did eventually find him in that main house we see?
Yes. After we gained entry to the residence, we did find him in that house. We called him out, and he came out.
But the defense pointed out, how could the investigator tell the person who was running on the drone footage was actually Jesus?
Now, as you're watching the video, you just testified that was, you said the suspect, but I assume you're meaning my client, Mr. Monroy,
Correct.
Jesus Monroy.
Yes, sir.
All right.
If he was wearing the same
Just through
clothes?
the clothes that he was wearing when he exited the house that we found him in.
Okay. What kind of clothes did you find my client in?
It was all black.
All black? Okay. I'm going to go back to the video here, and because I have terrible vision, I'm going to just zoom it in here for us. All right. See, up here in the top left corner of this screen, it kind of allows me to move the view in a little bit. I'm going to move it up here to the top left. Is this the area showing on the screen where you first see the person you have identified as my client?
Go ahead.
I haven't played it yet, but I just want to make sure that this is the right area we're looking at.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Bro,
You tell me when you see my client.
even if this nigga don't have on the same exact clothes.
Right there.
Are you aware that that house that's there belongs to my client's aunt?
No, sir.
You weren't aware of that, or it doesn't?
I just saw him run into that house, and that's where we found him at.
What does that matter?
You came on the scene, asked everybody to come out of the house, and my client came out of this house.
First, we went to that house where he comes out of. Then we went to the house that he originally come out of, and that's where we found the other males.
I'm gonna pause this here. But that house where that individual just ran into is the house that you said my client came out of.
Correct.
Okay. That individual wearing a black shirt, black pants, white or light colored shoes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware that when my client came out, he was wearing shorts?
I can't remember.
Okay. Were you aware that my client's cousin, Rafael Valdez, was wearing a black shirt and black pants that day?
I couldn't remember.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Homicide Detective Julie Price was one of the many investigators also there.
Like, the shit don't matter. They had this nigga location in the woods. So what? Maybe his cousin had the same shit on as he did. Maybe one had shorts, maybe one had pants. Maybe they switched clothes in the house. Like, bro, all evidence points towards...
When police executed a search warrant, she wore her body cam that day. And when she first spoke with Jesus, he was in the back of a squad car.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get a swab of your cheeks. So in my case, I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna assume it's for the baby. Okay? Yeah.
Stopping at 2106. And Detective Price, I know it was urgent here, but did he say, oh, I'm not going back to jail?
Yeah, that was his thought.
Yeah, so that
And
ain't...
either way, if I run, they're going to catch me. Is that what we heard?
But Detective Price's testimony and even her body cam being taken into consideration when it comes to bond was objected by the defense. So the defense
What?
argues Jesus' rights were violated because when the search warrant was executed, he was out on bond. And when he was in the back of
What
the
does that
squad
mean?
car, every statement made during that time period should be thrown out because he didn't have his lawyer with him. The state, meanwhile, argues Jesus wasn't under arrest and volunteered that statement.
She didn't question him at all about his
Bro, if you talk,
charges,
you talk, gang. Like,
what he did, why he's there,
Am I tripping?
what's going on, why he ran, did he not run? None. She did not ask any questions about that. The only question she asked was about the horses.
Statements made that a reasonable person would assume it requires a response or induces a response are the same way. And in that video, while they talked about horses for a bit of time, Detective Price talked to him initially about why they're there, who's in the house. We're sorry about this. It's about the baby. This is all about the baby. And then towards the end, says,
You feel me?
starts talking
They be
about,
doing
well,
that
we
shit to a
called-
lot with
we
a
called
lot
you
of
guys,
shit,
we
bro.
asked y'all to come out. We did all, and she's talking to my client directly about the circumstances that lead to what the state believes is an incriminating statement. Under these circumstances, it's just a violation of the fundamental due process rights of my client.
But the judge ruled to overrule the defense's objection. Mia's older brother, Alexis, says he still carries guilt for letting Mia meet up with Jesus that day.
Ever since that night, I've carried so much guilt because I was the last one to see my little sister alive. She told me she was going to the gas station with Jesus, and I just let her go. Just so that monster that sits right there can take her away from me and my family. Hearing my mother cry every night because her heart and the light of her life isn't here anymore. Just because Jesus didn't want to take care of my sister or his son. Ever since he found out Mia was pregnant, he didn't want responsibility and wanted her to abort from the start. He was never around. We always had to tell him to do something. I guess that's just the life of a deadbeat who gets what he wants and doesn't care about responsibility. We spent Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, my birthday, and my mother's birthday at the cemetery crying and grieving over Mia and Sebastian.
Damn.
It breaks my heart knowing Sebastian couldn't even see the light or the world. His life was cut short, and Jesus and his family and friends just mock us and laugh at us like the heartless monsters that they are. Knowing that his friends were at my house visiting us and telling my parents, sorry for your loss, knowing they support him and his family just makes me so angry. I've carried, so much guilt for not trying to stop her. I've gotten tattoos in her honor, but the main reason I got them was mostly for pain. To get my mind off the fact that my baby sister isn't here anymore, just for a couple hours, but having to live in that house, passing her lonely room every single day, seeing her picture wherever I go, passing where she was killed every day to go to work and come back home, just makes me feel like I failed as a brother and uncle. Ever since Mia left this world, I've been so lonely. I try to surround myself with people I love, but it's not the same.
Mia's father also gave a heartbreaking statement where he said he was ready to be a grandfather.
But they took my grandchild away from me. He had no chance to see the light, and didn't deserve that. He was just an angel. Everything that I leave from work, I turn to my house and I can see my daughter walking on the street when her belly. And I got out of my head and I can't get it out. I got this pain that I am going to carry for the rest of my life. I wish if I can see her and my grandson one more time to tell them that I love you guys, and I miss you. I hope one day we'll be reunited again. My life is not the same without them. I hope you understand the pain all my family went through, but the pain is still there before they took away from me. Every morning I went to her room to say, good morning, my beautiful daughter. Now I go to the cemetery to tell her that I miss her. She didn't know that what kind of person that he was, and the way he took advantage of Mia, because Mia was innocent and hurts me like a father losing the youngest of my family. And I don't understand the father or the child taking his son's life. He didn't deserve that. The way he killed him, he didn't just kill Mia and Sebastian. He killed my family because now we are on the same. We're not the same. In been 8 months that they are gone, and it feels like it was yesterday. I don't have any more words to feel this pain.
Damn, bro.
Mr. Campos, are you concerned about your family's safety if Jesus gets out of jail?
Yes.
The defense also had a chance to put up witnesses at the bond hearing, like Jesus' cousin, who delivered a huge blow to the state.
Are you in this? I still the screenshot here at 8 minutes and 49 seconds. Are you in this image?
He's still trying to say something about the nigga that
I'm
was
wearing
running.
black pajamas, white or light colored Crocs, black shirt, earrings, and
Okay. And you said pajamas, but pajama pants, or are you wearing pants?
yeah, pajama pants. Yes.
Okay. There was another video that was played, and I'll just pull that up real quick as well. State's Exhibit number
Like, this
1.
video don't mean shit. It's like, if that's him. Like, what the fuck is that gonna... You know what I'm saying? That don't mean the nigga sitting in a chair ain't do that shit. How the fuck we know that they switch clothes to crib?
Yes. Okay. And I've zoomed it in here again just so we can have a better look at what's going on. And I'm going to just advance it here a few frames because I'm going to watch the whole thing. All right, so right here, I'm going to pause it at 145. Can you see my mouse cursor on your screen? Okay, so right here, I want you to pay attention. Oh, sorry, right here. I want you to pay attention to where my cursor is, and I'm going to push play here at 1 minute 44 seconds. Do you see what appears to be an individual walking through the yard there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who that individual is?
Yes.
Who is it?
That's me, Raphael.
That's you.
Yes.
Okay. And so, I'm going to...
He on the phone with the nigga.
More seconds. Explain to us what you're doing in this video.
I went outside and I just went to the thing and I saw police coming and I got scared. I ran into the barn.
Stop it.
And then I called my mom and then she had told me to enter my house through the back, and I entered my house and I stayed and I waited until my mom got to my house. And
so this
That nigga that was at the gate called and said, yo, 12 outside. 'Cause they already know what's going on. Like, he ran back in the crib. Then he ran back to the barn.
yes, that's me.
Did someone call you and tell you the police were coming?
I got a text message from the brother.
What brother?
Enrique.
Whose brother is that?
Jesus' brother.
Okay. What did that text say?
They had told me that the police are at the gate, I think, and then to I don't know.
Why you so scared, bro?
What are you talking?
If you ain't do nothing,
Enrique told you to do what?
He just told me that he just notified me, and I went outside to go check, and I just got scared and I ran.
Where was Jesus?
Jesus was in my house.
And on that video, is your house the house on the left or the house on the right?
On the right, I'm pretty sure.
what you mean you pretty sure? You know where you stay? Because they said earlier that the house on the left was his aunt's house. And he the other nigga cousin, right? So the house on the left would be naturally his house.
So when you ran, that house that we're looking at, is that your house right there?
Yes.
Okay. And Jesus was where? In that house?
Yes.
And when the police came, Jesus was right where you ran to, right?
Don't get me wrong, I get it,
You
like that's
talked to
his
him
family,
before
but
he came into court.
bro, it's
Yes.
certain shit that you
Did he
don't
show
come
you
back
this
from,
video?
and that's
Yes.
one of those.
And he told you to point out that that was you?
Well, he asked me if it was me, and yes, that's me.
And you and Jesus have the same clothing?
Well, I had those pants and he had the shorts on.
Meanwhile, Jesus' older brother testified Jesus has never been in trouble before, and if he's released, he would show up for court.
Hey, nigga just said he been in
will
jail
do,
before.
because He was always trying to get updates on the case. He was like, when do I have my next court? He was always asking so he can show up. Because he was conscious. He was like, when do I have the next court? Because time was just rolling by.
One of the other factors is whether Jesus is going to intimidate or influence witnesses in the case. Do you have any opinion about that?
I don't think he's going to get nowhere near witnesses.
Okay. Now, he's back in jail now, but how long was he at home with you while he was out on bond? If you can give us a rough estimate.
Since the last week of August.
Okay.
So that's, let's say what, 6 months, 7 months?
6 or 7 months? Okay.
Yeah.
During that period of time, Did you ever hear Jesus?
If you got damning
attempt
evidence for a nigga
to
locked up for
influence,
murder, there should be
talk to,
nothing
contact
for bond.
the victim's family or any witness in this case?
No.
Okay. Did he ever ask you to do that?
No.
Did you ever hear him ask anybody else to do that?
No.
One of the last factors is Jesus a flight risk, right? And we heard his comment there on the video. Give us your opinion. Is Jesus a risk of flight or fleeing the jurisdiction?
No.
During their final argument to the judge, the state was adamant Jesus is a flight risk if he's released.
I know that we just heard from Mr. Valdez, who says that was him, but on State's Exhibit 2, the video, the body cam from Detective Price, we heard from Jesus Floodroy, the defendant, that he did run when police came when he heard the drone. So he does acknowledge that he was the one running from the barn to the house to the other house. In fact, we heard on the camera that he said, "Oh, I thought it was a drone and I'm not going back to jail." And that he did not want to go back to jail, and that's why he ran.
Switch
and
clothes,
he said,
bro.
"I thought I was going to get arrested when I saw the lights," and I was like, "Oh, I ain't going back to jail." That's what he volunteered to Detective Price, Your Honor, admitting that he did run when law enforcement came and that he did not want to go back to jail. As well as we just saw him running. We heard from his own brother that they have family and friends in Texas and Mexico, and that the defendant previously resided in Mexico. So he is a flight risk, Your Honor. This defendant targeted Mia. He was a grown man, an adult.
He came with a
19,
plan,
he is
bro.
legally an adult. She was 15 years old, a child. He lured her to a location in Gwinnett late at night, had sex with her, and got her pregnant. He then lured her out of her own home again at night and killed her, Your Honor. He is a danger to her, to witnesses, and to all children, and we're asking the court to deny bond and make sure that Mia has justice for her.
While the defense argues Jesus will stay put.
Judge Byers heard all of this, heard the state's entire presentation, all of the facts that the state just presented to this court, with the exception of the additional witnesses here today regarding the flight. Heard all of that and decided that my client was not a significant risk to flee the jurisdiction, not a significant risk to intimidate witnesses, not a significant risk or danger to the community, not a significant risk of committing additional felonies. And granted him bond
He just
amount
killed
of
somebody,
$50,000
bro.
on August 28th of 2024. He has bond. That bond has not been revoked. That bond is still active. He is on bond on those charges. There has been no appropriate motion to revoke that bond that was filed by the state and notice served upon counsel. So that is not for court's consideration today. What this court is to consider is he eligible for bond on count 5, enticing a child for indecent purposes, count 6, statutory rape, count 7, child molestation, and 2 of the counts of making false statements that were added. Those 5 charges were added by the Gwinnett County District Attorney's Office to the bill of indictment and presented to the grand jury on February 13th of 2025. The following day, my client was arrested on the bench warrants that were issued by the grand jury, and he has been continuously incarcerated at the Gwinnett County Detention Center since that time.
So the judge didn't issue her ruling at the hearing. That ended up coming at a later time. And in a stunning ruling, the judge granted Jesus Monroy a $150,000 cash bond on his new charges. Online records show he has been released from custody. He's ordered not to have contact with Mia Campos' family. He'll remain on house arrest, and he'll have to wear an ankle monitor 24/7. Reporting for Law.